Welcome to Bravi. I'm Cesar Vicente, and I'm pleased to be joined by a founding member of the Euclid Quartet, a resident ensemble of the Indiana University South Bend, where he also teaches, and he's also the music director, Jameson Cooper. Thank you for being with me, Cooper.
Great pleasure. Hi, Cesar.
Hey, hello. So to start off, founding member, right? This sounds like a long time. How long have you been member of the quartet?
Yeah, it is a long time. I'm the last man standing from the original. We've had several membership changes through the years. So we began in 1998. And that was at Kent State University in Ohio. And it was the graduate string quartet position. So we were all pursuing master's degrees there. And as part of the assistantship, we had to be in the graduate string quartet, and there were various responsibilities associated with that, and obviously being a quartet, rehearsing, playing quartet concerts, but we were also part of the university orchestras, section principals, and things like that. So it was a very nice setup that they had at the university there, and it's continued to be a great thing for the school because they're able to bring in higher level players and boost the orchestra and just generally sort of raise the level of string playing at the school. But it's also of course a fantastic opportunity for young aspiring quartets, so it gives them a home, a place to rehearse and practice and hone their craft in a good environment while they're in their early days. The thing for me is I didn't know I was going to be in a string quartet at all.
Really?
I mean, I knew when I arrived there I was going to be, but that I certainly didn't have a plan for life that I want to be in a professional quartet at all. That was a surprise.
Yeah, that would be one of my questions, because I have you ever planned to be a chamber musician?
Right. Well, it happened for me. I was taking lessons in Ohio at Oberlin Conservatory with Almita and Roland Bamos, they're now Chicago based, but they were at that time they had Chicago as well, but they were teaching in Oberlin. And so I was, you know all about immigration problems and visas and all that.
Yeah.
All these
Oh, yes.
So I was just coming over basically as a visitor to the country, and staying for certain length of time to take lessons and practice and what have you. So I spoke to Mrs. Vamos about that, and she said there was a guy, Icelandic violinist, who was taking lessons with her in Oberlin, but he was actually a student at Kent State University, but he was in the graduate quartet program, and he'd done 1 year of this, but he wanted to go back to Iceland. He didn't want to finish this program, so she said you should contact Lars, his name was. Call Lars and find out what the deal is with this thing, because they're paying for his lessons in Oberlin from Kent State University.
Yeah.
So now this is all pre-Facebook. I think I kind of had email at this point, but barely. So I can't remember how I contacted the guy. I don't know. How did we meet? I don't know. But anyway, no cell phones, none of that. Anyway, so somehow I got in touch with Lars, and sure enough, he wanted to leave. And it was just an amazing opportunity for me, because it just fixed all of my problems. It got me my student visa. It paid for my lessons. So I was a student at Kent State University, but I would drive over to Oberlin and have my lessons once a week with them. And it also gave me a little stipend as well, some money to live off as well. And as I said, part of the responsibilities for this was to be in a string quartet. And I thought, well, fine, okay, that sounds fun. That's I'll do that so I can get my free lessons.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking, oh, okay, now I'm going to be in quartet. It was just, it was quartet, orchestra, bibliography. I mean, it's just one of the things I had to do. But it just sort of overtook everything else after a while. My second year became the first year for the next group of people, which included Jacob Murphy. I think you knew Jacob, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so Jacob joined at that time along with two other people you don't know. And so that's when the group really started to become serious, and we worked hard. We got coaching with some fantastic people. The university was amazing at helping us out, getting coachings from Emerson Quartet and Vermeer Quartet and people like that. It was just great. that's when we started doing some competitions, and we won some prizes there, and that encouraged us to really go for it. So it just sort of fell into my lap very, very luckily.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I'm not saying life was easy. I certainly struggled to get to that point, but when this opportunity just showed up, it just sort of it ticked so many of the boxes. It's amazing. So I'm forever grateful to
Right.
the university and the opportunity that they provided me there. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it feels like how every single decision we make, right, leads us to something, and we may not be sure, right, what we're doing, why we're doing certain things, but when the opportunity comes, the puzzle starts to make sense, right? It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it's led me to places that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I will definitely take advantage of that, and we'll talk about it. But before that, you're from England. You have started playing your violin at 6 years old, right? So how did you come to the violin?
Well, the first instrument I had was the recorder, and I basically played on it as if it was a toy. I don't know if somebody had taught me where the positions were of the notes, or whether I just figured it out myself. That I don't know. But what I do know is that I just picked it up and played with it. It was something that I just liked doing, just like play with Lego. And so my parents noticed that I was able to just find melodies, things I'd heard on TV or my dad's stereo or whatever. I could pick it out and play it.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought, wow, this kid has a musical ear. We should probably try to get him on a more grown-up instrument, right?
And now I may lead you to the serious question here, but after so many years of performing, especially chamber music, has something changed, or do you think that there is more competition or more opportunities, fewer opportunities? Is easier, harder to make music today, or what has changed over the years?
Well, I mean, obviously, right now with the COVID situation, there's a very specific part of time to answer that question too. I mean, I'm not doing well with that myself. I'm not a big fan of the whole streaming music experience. I like being in the same room as other musicians and the audience. I don't like teaching online. I know a lot of my colleagues do. I hate it. I like to be able to go and grab someone's hand and say, no, let's do this or whatever, and just being able to assess sound properly. I just don't think you can really. I don't feel like I can teach as well online as I can in person. So the right now the situation is hard for me to feel that anything is better, because it's not. I think hopefully once we're out of this mess, perhaps we will have learned more about how to use technology in music to hopefully supplement what we do in a live setting. But my fear actually is that this is going to overtake. I think especially because it's cheaper. I feel like a lot of I could certainly see universities saying, well, why are we paying for heat and this space and everything if our teachers can do the lessons at home on the computer. And I also fear that audience members are getting used to not having to make the effort to go to get their music or their theater or whatever. I mean, it's just easier to tune in and and there you are. You can go get a snack and switch it off where nobody's looking at you if you cough or anything. So I think there's a danger here that this has pushed us to a new normal that will continue. I'm wrong, but that I hear a lot of people saying that everyone's aching for live music again. I really hope that's the case. Everyone's aching for that collective experience. I'm sure a lot of people are, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are the opposite. Why would I go to a concert? I can just. So I don't know. I mean, that had you asked me this question a year ago, I would probably have to think about it differently. But this has changed everything right now.
I see. So I asked you this because I think different than you. I don't know if you feel the same, but I have a feeling that we got stuck in time, right? I understand your point in the traditional concert, the people going there, and I still believe in that. I still believe. But we have been repeating this process over and over again. I know it's what we do. We rehearse, we go on the stage, we perform, right? People clap and go home, right? Musicians go back home, and we automatically thinking about the next concert, right? So we're performing to be recognized, to be exposed. We're concerned about building up our career, maybe to perform more, to make more money. But my question is, what about our audience, right? What have we stopped ourselves to think if they're truly satisfied, or are we meeting their needs? Are we meeting their expectation? That's why I feel throughout the years, especially last year, that our self-promotion most of the time has become more important than the satisfaction of the clients with the audience. And I don't even think that they treat our audience as a client. What do you think about it?
So I think, I think musicians are not a service industry in that sense. I think in order for us to, as performing musicians, in order for us to want to do it, we need to get something out of it ourselves. It's not just we're doing this for other people. So I always think of it as a cutting involvement. I don't feel like I'm just, here's my product, take it or leave it. So because we don't get paid enough. We go through so much stress and hard work and everything in order to do this. So there has to be something in it for us as well. So I think it's important that the musicians on stage take as much from it as the audience does. I do acknowledge that we've been basically repeating the same formula for hundreds of years now, and it seems that you can engage more with an audience if you shake that up a little bit at certain times. Now, I think there's definitely a sector of society that likes that type of performance, and I don't think we want to see that go. I think as long as that's also welcoming to others, I don't think there's any harm in that. But I do also think there's just the way the world is changing so much now. I think there's a need to, as I say, shake it up and find different ways of sharing this art that we love with audience members. And a very simple thing that a lot of people have been doing before the piece, doing a walkthrough of the piece, and that way audiences feel that they are not only learning about the music, but they're also connecting more with the people on stage. They're sort of breaking down the barriers. And I think that the thought of that is that it's trying to move away from tales. It's a rather kind of severe thing. Nobody says a word. Bow. Don't you dare cough, otherwise, you'll spoil it. So all that kind of, rather rigid thing. It's to try to get away from that and say, no, we're people too, and we love this. This is why we love it, and we want to share it with you. So no, that's a cost-free, effective way of doing that many people do, and especially you'll see that nowadays, like in the South Bend Symphony. The conductor will have a whole show built around the music that's can be fun. It can have like overhead projections and things like that. The imagery there. So there are lots of ways you can dress it up. I think the danger is when so if you start having like flashing lights and different things for people to look at or different sounds going on, then you've got to be careful what kind of music you do that to. Because if you're playing a Mozart quartet, which is such a little crystal,
Yes.
Whatever you're doing should be to draw people into that, not distract them from it. So I don't know. I certainly don't have any brilliant ideas right now about it. Maybe there's some way of incorporating the technology into making the whole thing more interactive. But I think at the end of the day, that should share the experience. And I think for a lot of people, classical music is background music. That's the other problem. So the idea of actually going to listen to rather than just hear, actually focusing on is different. It's hard for a lot of people. Plus, also classical music pieces tend to be longer than a pop song. Most people listen to a pop song for 4 minutes, something like that. And 50-minute symphony. Are you kidding? Really? You just sit and listen? You don't do anything else? And I say it with my son. Every now and again I'll say to him, "Come on, let's sit down and listen to this. It's one of Daddy's favorite pieces." And after a couple of minutes, he's like, he wants to sort of thing or what. But that's always going to be a challenge. Is just how do we get people to actually immerse into the music and realize that is worth your time.
Yeah, do you know, for me, what was the best performance of the Euclid that I ever attended was the one you guys did, if I'm not mistaken, at Langlab, right?
Uh-huh.
It was very nice because I remember that you guys, it was a very tight place where it was not the traditional theater, right? So
Right.
you're close to the audience. We were very close to you guys. So maybe it was not the best space, acoustic, right? But you were very close to us. During the intermission, people were drinking beer, wine, having some snacks, and you guys were there. Of course, you were not drinking yet, but you guys were there with us. You were talking about the challenge of the space, acoustic, something that happened during the performance, right? And for me, that day, I said, you know what? This is what we, as a member of the audience, that's all we want. We want to be part of the show. We want to be part of the performance, right? And for me, it was like a turning page. I said, oh my God, this is what we need. And this is not complicated, right? It's, as you said, this is not like a lot of lights going on, or I mean, a lot of things going on at the same time. But it's a very simple thing that we can include the audience a little bit more. Yeah, and I really liked that concert. It was like the best one. I think you guys played the Beethoven. You guys were playing the full cycle of Beethoven's Quartet.
Yeah, cycle that we couldn't finish because of the virus. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. So my question now, I don't want this question to be tricky, right? But you guys are thinking about it. I mean, or this is part of the discussion, right? The brainstorm when you think about the concerts, or no, or it's just this, or you sound very traditional. You really like to, the way it is, right? To go to the theater, sit there, wait for 15 minutes, appreciate that. But do you guys think about the public in general, or no? Or you just...
Yeah, of course. I mean, I like I said, I think I look at, classical music like, in many ways, it's like a museum. I mean, it's a live version of a museum. If you want to go look at a painting, you go to a museum, you see it, right? The only way you can hear the classical music is, unless it's a recording, is to go to a concert. So I think I look at us as like curators of this art. So I respect the old method of the traditional concert, and I think, like I said, a lot of people do still like that, and it's definitely a relic of the past, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So long as it's not just that. I think it's vital that we do a very different kind of presentation as well to involve people. Yeah, so it's actually very interesting to me that you reacted so favorably to that concept, because for us as a quartet, the experience is that, oh my gosh, this is a funny space. Gosh, is anybody even going to come to this? Nobody knows where this place is. No, it's very kind of low budget and like guerrilla style concept, right? But that was the idea with our Beethoven cycle this time, is that we wanted to do it in 3 different locations, so that it was try to build the audience from, hopefully each location has its own people, and just try to get people to sort of mesh and mix, and hopefully expand the audience base and their opportunities as well. Give them different experiences. Especially if somebody was going to see the whole cycle, they get to hear it at this place and this place and this place, and so they get a different experience each time. So, like I said, I'm actually really happy to hear that you reacted that way to it, because I didn't know if people were going to look at that one as like the poor stepchild of those, less fancy. But that you actually got more from that is very interesting to me, and I love hearing about that.
The technical part is still important, right? I mean, of course, you guys are facing a lot of technical, challenges, but for me, the environment that you guys try to include us, I don't know if it was the target of the concert, right? But I felt very included. I could reach you. I could talk with you if I wanted. I could talk with Luis, with Brandon. So it was very, very including, and it was very good.
And again, I think the idea of the wall that was between people in the past, the tails on the and everybody like what you're talking about the interval. That's interesting. I hadn't really thought of how the interval can play into the or intermission can play into the equation at all, because that
Yeah,
was always like, whew, oh, catch a breath, sort your
I
music,
know.
it was so, but making that still part of the show in a sense, of like interacting with the audience during that time,
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense, really, because usually at the end of the concert, people just want to go home.
Yeah,
They don't.
exactly.
They want to go home. But giving them that time where they're still, captive, if you like, to the
Yeah,
experience,
yeah, yeah.
where you can actually still interact and chat a little bit about the music, and put a friendly face on the whole thing is very interesting to me. And as you say,
Yeah.
it's so simple. It's not a
It's
doesn't
simple.
cost anything. I mean, it's nice that place that there's a bar there just right off stage, so there's a easy opportunity there for people to just relax and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would work in a traditional recital hall. I mean, I guess you could have sort of a space designated to sort of mid-concert reception or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's always afterwards.
Yeah, I felt so bad in my recital. First of all, because of the COVID situation, but um, I did other recitals, and I never had the chance to interact with the people that they were there. They went out, they went to the theater, the auditorium to attend my concert, right? And I never had a chance to say thank you or to say anything, to interact, to say something. Of course, we always have a beautiful speech in the beginning and we say something, and it's important too, but that's what I miss, right? This
Yeah.
connection with our audience. And that's,
Mhm.
and I hope this conversation, it's simple. It's maybe one of my first interviews that I'm doing, but I think that we have to discuss these things, because I still think, even though I still have a lot to think about, but uh, um, it's we can do better. We can offer something better for the audience. And when we find this, that's what I think. When we find this, right, we will be able to even reach more people.
Yeah.
That's the plan. That's where I am right now. So I heard you guys are recruiting new students. Okay, and I would like you to say something to Brazilian students. I hope the Brazilian audience will be watching this video. It's a dream for many of us to come to the United States and pursue our degrees, or have this experience, which is amazing. I've been here for 6 years, and it was an amazing experience. So what can they do to come to a USP?
Well, yeah, we've been doing some master classes online, obviously, at the moment, with a number of Brazilian students over the last few weeks. And the problem always for us at our school is that it's still kind of like a secret. Like not a lot of people know about what we have to offer at IUSB.
Mm-hmm.
So we're constantly trying to get the word out about what we do. I think I have wonderful colleagues. My faculty college I would put them with anybody. I think we can offer a tremendous education to people, and also the school itself, as you know, is a smaller school, so it's one that looks after the individual very much. I think so. I'm very proud of those things, and I'm trying to get the word out there. And so when this opportunity came, um, to reach out to these Brazilian students, I jumped at it because I thought that would be perfect, in that the playing level seems to be very high over there. So it would be great to bring these students and
Oh yeah.
take them to the next level. But also, it speaks to me personally, because that was what happened to me as well. I came over for graduate school, and as we discussed, it changed my life. It
Uh-huh.
gave
Sure.
incredible opportunities. As it happens, I stayed here, but I can totally imagine a student coming here for a length of time, then returning to Brazil, and hopefully bringing that different experience back, and continuing
Yeah, for sure.
the story. So we're very excited about the possibility of having these students with us, and my dream is to get a quartet of them. So that
Oh,
if we can get two violins, viola, and cello, then we can have them do some competitions, and
uh-huh.
because
That would
obviously
be great.
we have a quartet, so it would be great to coach a quartet, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's the next generation.
Yeah,
So
that would be great. That
that's
would be
fun.
great. Thank you. Yeah, two quick questions to finish. What is the most memorable performance of the quartet that you ever have?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. There's been a lot of uh, great experiences. I think one of the ones that I will always be extremely proud of is when we did the what we call the Bar Talk series,
Talk.
where we were getting ready to record the Bartok Quartet. So these were extremely interactive shows that we did. We just played one quartet per night over consecutive nights. The first we did was 2, 4, and 6. So we did, I don't know, like Tuesday we did quartet number 2, Wednesday 4, Thursday 6, and we really did a big walkthrough of that piece. We spent a lot, more talking than playing. And then, once we'd done that, then we played the piece through. And then after that, we invited everybody to the bar for some talk. Bar talk.
Yeah.
And that was just, I think, a really, as you said, a nice way of connecting with the audience. And bar talk for a lot of people is a hard listen. A lot of people are not able to connect with that music, but they went through it, and people really appreciated that. And got something out of the music that perhaps they wouldn't. So we did that. We repeated the thing a couple of years later when we did the next CD, when we did 1, 3, and 5. So yeah, I'm particularly proud of those.
And would you have any funny story that happened during the performance or something like?
Yeah. Well, I think this actually was not quartet. This is when I was at Kent State University. So I was in the quartet at this time, but this is during an orchestra rehearsal, and I was wearing these cargo pants, with the big pockets, and there was a pizzicato section, and somehow the back of my bow got caught on this pocket, and it went flying, and it was literally like a helicopter.
Oh, no. I know.
All the way out to the audience. Must have gone 20 yards. The bow was fine, but it was that 2 seconds was just amazing, but terrifying. Wow.
Oh, Cooper, thank you very much for your time. Okay, this was Jameson Cooper, guys. I hope we see each other soon. Okay, good luck with everything. Have a good 2021, right?